he has also made it a kind of mission, artistic mission of his, to offer thus these great songs, which are incredible windows into his soul, but not to give us his soul.
You tramped all the way from Minnesota. Why is that?
I wanted to catch a spark.
Hi, Timothy. How are you, man?
Hi, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thanks for taking the time.
After playing and being involved so many years in this project, what is your favorite quality about Bob Dylan that you learned?
All of it, all of him, all of him. He's one of the most talented and fantastic and peculiar artists of the 1960s and of the last couple decades. I would say all of it. You know, I totally fell in love with him.
Because for me, one of the beautiful things about him, it's I'm curious. It's when at least portrayed in the movie, it's that he is well known, but he don't want to engage with people on the street, for example. Like he don't want to be recognized only when he's singing on the stage. And to me, that's beautiful because he only wanted to be recognized as an artist.
Yeah, agreed. And that's what I love because you compare him to the, to the other icons of pop music, even through the last couple decades, and that sort of personability on the street or with fans, it's sort of, you almost expect that's part of what makes somebody a superstar. So I think it speaks to the strength of his songwriting and his talent and his lyricism that he actually wasn't that,
One of the cool things that I love about the movie also is his relationship with women around him, and he's so passionate, but also so focused on his work. And I wonder, what do you think about this relationship that the movie portrayed with that? I think it's 3 or 4 women in his life.
Yeah. Well, this is interpretive. The real Bob Dylan is alive and well in Malibu. So these are just ultimately these are characters in a story in a interpretive art form. So, I can only speak to the character I play in the movie. What we drew up in a sense. But I think you said it perfectly. I think he's laser focused on his art and is engaged with it. And I would say that's sort of the saving grace for Bob in this film is he never pretends to care about anything more than his music,
What do you think is that? What do you think is music is more important to him than anything else, even his relationship outside everything?
Well, also, this is somebody in his early 20s. I mean, when we meet him, he's in his late teenage years. So, a lot of people aren't figured out then, and they gravitate towards what they care about most. In the case of Bob, it's his art or his music. In the case of the character of Bob, it'd be different if he was totally engaged with either Sylvie or Joan in the movie, and at some point wasn't engaged, and then you go, oh, well, that's not great. But he's always engaged with his music, first and
Right.
foremost. He doesn't pretend not to be.
I have to say that my favorite scene is the first one when he meet Peter and Woody, and that connection with Ice mostly. How was that work with those 2 great actors? Because everything is about kindness and it's about connection.
Yeah, it is. I like how you said that. It is about kindness and connection, and they were fantastically helpful. And I see Edward Norton is obviously an acting god. He was fantastic, very present. But Scoot McNairy, who plays Woody Guthrie, he does an incredible job in this movie, across the whole movie. He doesn't have a line. He doesn't have, doesn't have one line of dialogue, but was super present. And in Bob's eyes, is his hero. It's meeting your hero, meeting your dying hero.
Timothy, thank you for doing this. I really appreciate it. I know you're exhausted, but thank you so much. I
No,
really
I
appreciate
appreciate it. Thank you.
And this is a great movie.
Thank you so
Congratulations.
much, man. Thank you for taking the time.
One of my favorite scenes in the movie is early on in the movie. It's when Bob arrive and see your character Pete and Woody, and then connect in some special way, mostly physical and musical. And I wonder how was that scenes behind, like how was that creation, how was that connection?
Yeah, I think that's a lovely scene. There's a moment of assessment, I think. I think it's one of those things where you see people taking the measure of each other in subtle ways without testing each other. I like what you said. It is very physical. It's very observational, and I really enjoyed it. That particular song, that first original song of Bob Dylan's called "Song for Woody" that he plays was a real favorite of mine when I moved to New York when I was 21, and that song and the idea of arriving in New York was very resonant. And also, I think there's that thing of we still experience it, all of us today. You think about like the way a new talent, a new whether someone's a musician or an actor or a politician or an athlete, you know, when you see when you first start to see a special gift,
Yeah.
you know, that someone's sharing with everybody, and the excitement of that, the feeling, that's I think a lot we can I think a lot of people can connect with that first moment of
Yeah.
excitement at seeing something new, you know?
Because besides we, the audience, you are the only character that see the character of Bob Dylan arriving to New York and then becoming an early stage of Bob Dylan.
Mm.
And like a lot of things that we know about him, we know about through your character because conversation that you two have. How was that connection with Timothy? But it goes beyond musical connection because he admired you too.
It's funny. I mean, Timothy and I have met and we've gotten to know each other through mutual friends and things like that. And yeah, you know, I certainly, if you have a little bit of a little bit of the dynamic existing between us is always helpful. You know what I mean? But but also, that's just the work. You sort of discover it together, play with it. I don't know. It's always like mysterious to me, the process of discovery, how scenes emerge, just like how songs emerge. It's very strange where the impulses come from in them. You know, I think in the beginning there's a dynamic of mutual affection, and that's it was a nice place for us to anchor our feet in that mutual admiration.
And the work with James Mangold from the beginning, it was focusing because we get to know your life, your personal life too as a character, and the musical side. How was that fine line that you decide to keep on the side your personal life and the musical life of your character, of course?
Jim's script is very subtle, the way that he lets you see, you know, that it's about the collisions between certain people. And in many ways, he doesn't delve deep into the personal life of any of them. He really, that's what I liked about it. It wasn't a biopic in that sense. He's really looking at, I feel like Jim was really interested in what grew out of this group of people who collided with each other at this very fertile moment, and the way that Dylan's talent moved him through these doorways of relationships with other people. And yet Jim found a way to let you know a little bit about Pete's life and his family and what made him who he was. And he found a little, but I never felt that Jim was pursuing biography. I thought he was pursuing sociology in some sense, and the things that produce cultural moments, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
What's behind a famous cultural moment. And in a lot of ways, I think he was interested in 1965. He was interested in that famous collision between an artist wanting to go in one direction and the commitments that other people had. It was almost like, and so I love the way he almost worked backward from Newport 1965 so that you could understand why there were stakes in that, why it was even a conflict, why was it even controversial, and to do that, he had to back it up and help you understand what the alliance between all these people had been. And I love that. I feel like he was really engaged in cultural anthropology more than biography. And that's really interesting. It's more interesting to me than sort of ticking the boxes on all the chapters in someone's life,
Edward, thank you so much for your time. And,
Sure thing, yeah.
Congratulations.
Thanks, Ruben.
How are you, man?
I'm good, Ruben. How are you?
I'm excited because I truly enjoy your movie. And I've been enjoying your last, I don't know, 5, 6 movies.
Oh, good.
And for me, the first thing that comes to my mind when I say the title, why choosing a complete unknown as name when this guy is being even won Nobel Prizes.
Well, because the movie's about him when he was 19 years old. And so the interesting thing is, yes, he becomes that person, the person you're describing, but the one I'm following in the movie is a nobody, an absolute nobody. He has no money, he has no connections, he has he doesn't know anyone in show business. He's just a guy that with a few dollars in his pocket travels to New York to find a hero who's sick in the hospital. And what follows is a kind of fairy tale, a true life fairy tale. And it very much follows how someone moves from being a complete unknown into being a totally known. But the interesting thing I thought that was so wonderful about those three words was that it not only describes him in the beginning, but in a way also at the end. He has also made it a kind of mission, artistic mission of his to offer thus these great songs, which are incredible windows into his soul, but not to give us his soul.
I agree.
He will not, many celebrities, many artists give you everything. You are welcome. I mean, these days they're on social media. You see who they're dating, you see where they're eating, you see where they're buying pants, you see where they're jogging in the park. Everything is for public consumption.
Yeah.
But I think for Bob Dylan, the part he's offering the public is the songs, the albums, and the concerts. And then when the curtain comes down, or the CD or the needle comes to an end, it's over. He's back to his own space. And for many people, that's very vexing. It's like you're an enigma. I don't know you. What are you? He's mystique. And in some ways, I'm not sure he's so enigmatic. He's just self-protective, I think, in interesting ways.
But also, when he became famous, he didn't want to connect with the audience in the street. He just wanted to connect with them while he's singing. Because outside, people were chasing him, asking him for autograph, like chasing literally him, and he didn't want to connect with this person on the
Well,
street.
that's of course a different connection, because on the street, you're not offering art. You're just offering celebrity, right?
Yeah.
Or idolization, cult,
The
like a
picture.
kind of marketing. And when you sing, you're offering art. And so I see him as a real purist, that he very much loved sharing his storytelling, his songwriting, his artistic soul with people, but that he never felt that people were entitled to more. I mean, he wrote, when I wrote the script, I would read all these things that Bob would write in his journal or in letters as I was, writing the dialogue. And you bring it up, but it's one of the things he wrote about was just, why would a man want my signature?
Yeah.
What, like, it made him think, what possible reason would a man want my signature? What's wrong with his signature? Why does he need mine? And it's this question of kind of, why is my handwriting any more interesting than your handwriting? And in a way, he represents a very egalitarian, very revolutionary way of thinking about these things, that he just doesn't understand, this kind of celebrity in all its aspects.
James, thank you for your time. Congratulations.
My
I truly
pleasure,
love the movie.
Ruben. My pleasure. Have a great day.